The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Hey, welcome back to another UAB Director's Chair. He is the UAB Athletic Director, Mark Ingram, to my left here on our Tony Kurre YouTube channel. Wherever you get your favorite podcasts, we're available on every major industry, iHeart, iTunes, you name it, you can find us. And of course, you can also listen to the show at least 5 times a week, which is the way I like to do it because I'm an old radio guy on the TKR app. Get the TKR app. Thanks to 100,000 folks who have downloaded that bad boy, getting classic rock on weekends. Great shows from about 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. We do it every single week. Mark, you can go to your website, uabsports.com. First of all, how you doing? It's the end of the basketball season. Football season hasn't gotten riled up. I know you got your big showcase coming up. You certainly have a lot of other sports that are going on at UAB right now, but is this a time of the year where you can kind of actually take a little bit of a breather?
Well, not quite, but almost. Yeah, basketball season. When you have men's and women's basketball still playing, baseball and softball have started, you really get into a pretty hectic time on any campus because there's just so many events. But yeah, so now men's and women's basketball have finished their year. Primarily softball and baseball are what's happening right now on our campuses. Both soccer teams have spring seasons, as does volleyball, but it's practice. So it's they play some competitions, but they don't count. So it's very different because it doesn't involve fans and concessions, and it's a very different feel. It's just like a scrimmage, a very different feel in terms of the workload for staff. But yeah, it's starting to get that way, and we have commencement coming up here at the end of the month. In fact, it's actually the first weekend of May this year, which is late for UAB. But we've got a spring showcase on April the 25th or Saturday the 26th, whatever that date is. I mean, gosh, now that I've said that, I can't believe I don't know it. 26th.
26th, yes.
Saturday the 26th, and so
Easter is this Sunday, by the way.
Easter is this Sunday,
yes.
But we've got baseball at home this weekend against East Carolina. And because of the Easter holiday, they play Thursday, Friday, Saturday instead of what would typically be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is nice. And so that'll be a good deal. East Carolina historically is great at baseball, and I'm sure this year is no doubt any different. So, but both teams, baseball and softball, are having good years and hoping to finish strong here throughout the rest of the spring.
We've gotten several emails, info@tonykurreradio.net, info@tonykurreradio.net. We read all of our emails, and you can email for any of our shows. You want to / UAB Director's Chair after that so I can find it a little easier. That'd be fine too. But a lot of people have responded to our show, which we air every single week, and they really appreciate the fact that your candor and your uprightness, if you will, your transparency and what's going on with the NCAA, because no one really wants to talk about it. It's not sexy, but I think it's really important to let people know where we stand and what's going on with our favorite sport, and that being college football, basketball, what have you. A lot of people are saying that right now the NCAA is like building the plane as they fly it, which I think is a really good analogy. And it's the death of amateurism, but professionalism's never shown up, which I think is another interesting way to put it. I know Judge Judy Claudia Wilkin came out on Monday. We still have this agreement, if you will, this case that was decided back in May of 24 about the $2.8 billion, the 10 years, the blah, 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 blah. But still a lot of objections and things that need to be answered. And I would love it if you would clarify some things on exactly how it's going to affect the fans. And what we may see that may be a little more different about our favorite teams. First of all, the transfer portal opened yesterday, correct?
Yes.
What does that mean? Why is that different than any other transfer portal? How wide is it open? What does that mean?
Yeah, so the transfer portal opened. There's a fall. So for football, there's a winter portal and a spring portal. Basketball spring portal has been open. So what it means is, in the sport of football, and this is part of the challenge, is these guys can transfer every single semester if they want to. They used to have to sit out a year if they transferred. Now they can transfer unlimited and play immediately. And so what it does is it completely deteriorates the concept of hard work paying off and, earning a spot and being patient and, waiting for your time and that whole thing. And it's just like instant gratification and entitlement. And we're just breeding that through this this process, and everybody wants to blame the NCAA. It's not the NCAA. It's the fact that any kid that wants to can file a lawsuit against the NCAA, and they've had a hard time legally defending their rules. And so they get called out by the courts to say that, your rule is unlawful because a general student could transfer as much as they want. Why can't a student athlete transfer as much as they want? And so, people blame the NCAA, and I understand why, but it's just because they don't understand. And the NCAA is just a governing body. It's this nebulous group of people that we don't really know who they are, what they're doing. And
so why do we have to have a day? Why do we have to say that the portal's open? Isn't it always open?
No. So the portal, what that means is it's the day that you can declare that you are transferring. And all that is it's the mechanism. Think of it as like an online form, that you fill out, and it just says, hey, I'm available. But it notifies everybody in the country when the coaches have access to see who's in the portal so that they can recruit you. They know you're available to be recruited. That's the purpose of it. It's not a bad thing. I think what's bad is it's open too long. And I think that, kids get recruited into the portal by agents and other coaches, which is really terrible. And so the agents, let's just say the agents, they're aware that, let's say that 10 schools out there need in the Power 4 conferences, they're looking for a person who started in the G5 last year at left guard. Mm-hmm. Let's say they know there's 10 schools looking for a G5 starter. They can come in and start immediately. So they'll tell 40 guys to get in, and they'll say, hey, I can get you, $300,000 at a Power 4 looking for a starter from the G5, and you fit the description of what they want. So now a kid gets into the transfer portal. Problem is 40 of them got in. There's only 10 spots. And so if you were that person and you left UAB to get in the portal to go somewhere based on this agent's recommendation, well, what happens when you don't get one of those 10 spots? In your mind, you're like, well, I'll just go back to UAB. No, because we already signed a kid from junior college or from the or high school. I don't have another spot. Now you lost your spot altogether. You got nothing now. Yeah.
Are you surprised of the money? Are you surprised that they're finding the money, that the money seems so easily, okay, you need $3 million, we'll get it? I mean, I've been around college athletics for a long period of time. I know how tight things can be, and I know that you guys got budgets and things get to work. And to me, it just seems crazy that Nico in that particular case could sit there and say, okay, we got a deal for $1.8 million, whatever it was. And all of a sudden he hasn't been offered anything as far as I know. And maybe he's got a number that he thinks he's deserving to get. He may not get that $4 million, but it just seems like the money where's it coming from?
Well, I think the misconception, Tony, is that there is all this money available out there. There are a few schools who have cobbled together that kind of money. But there's a lot of blue blood places that have had a ton of success and won national championships that are vastly different than others. And it's just a matter of how big is your alumni base, how rabid is your fan base, and has your fan base embraced it? There's some places that could raise the money, but their fans just find it distasteful. You know, you go to work every day, you know how hard you work and to earn your living, and we're going to give not a few $1,000s, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to an 18-year-old kid
who hasn't done anything yet.
Done anything. It makes no sense. And a lot of people see it that way. Now, the problem is that where we find ourselves, Tony, is that if we don't raise the money, we will not have the talent to be competitive. If we're not competitive, you lose fan interest. So your season ticket sales are down. You know what I mean? Like if there's this snowball effect downward. I don't think there's the money that some people, well, there is some big money out there, but it's not like everybody's got it. And you just hear one story about one kid that got some crazy number somewhere. And then fans think that's what everybody's doing when that's not the case. But everyone is competing, trying to raise money so that we can pay players. And so now we're in the same, we're just like everybody else. You can now make a donation to UAB Athletics and get a tax deduction because assuming the House settlement goes through, starting in July, those payments can be routed through us, which means you can actually give the money here for a tax deduction, and then we can pay the players. And so we're going to have to offset those funds to be able to build a roster.
It's crazy. And I'm trying to think to myself, to what advantage it makes for a great story to see a kid that, would be playing at UAB or Middle Tennessee State or whatever. And he's just a lights out, great quarterback, great running back, and says, no, I made a commitment here. I'm loyal to my teammates. I want to stay here. It could even be like a 30-30 special. But let's be honest here. The NFL doesn't care. They just want great football players, right. and so does the Autonomy Forward. They just want great football players. They don't care if it's a great story or whether you have loyalty in your blood or whether you did it right or not right. I mean, there's going to be some.
I don't agree with that. I think that there are some enough. Look, yes, the bottom line is, can you play or not? But I do think it impacts your draft status if you have a reputation for being difficult. It's a long time ago, but teammates who showed up to mini camps and they were difficult and they got cut and you think, that's crazy. And they ended up on another team and their agent straightened them out and said, hey, man, what were you thinking going in there and talking like, you're so special. Everybody is special. You're an idiot. And then they straightened up and they worked out and became a great player for that second team. But they carried all this kind of, I'm the next whatever. And everybody at that level, look, man, everybody in college is good. Everybody in college is better than anybody you played against in high school. So, there's a transition there, and it's just as big of a transition to the next level. I do think it matters. I also think one of the problems is some of the bigger budget schools have money to pay our guys to come there and sit on their bench.
Yeah.
So now none of these kids think they're going to go sit on the bench. They all think this is where I should have been. They missed me. They didn't. They overlooked me. They didn't just discover me, but now they've discovered me. I'm going to go prove that I should have been a, Power 5, expensive, big budget place, All-American. I'm that guy, and I've always known that, but now I'm going to show the world. Well, then again, they show up and they realize that everybody on that roster is that way, and now they may not play. And those teams are doing it, and they know they're doing it, and they're okay with it. And you think, well, why would they be okay with paying $100,000 or $200,000 to gotta sit on the bench? Well, because it creates competition inside their locker room, so that's a good thing. But they made us worse.
Yeah.
So they make the difference look. It's not that they're any better necessarily, but it makes us look vastly different because we are worse.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not going to fault, and I'm not faulting the players at all through this. And I know you're not either. Listen, you someone tells you can go get $4 million to play college football, and you got less than 1% chance of playing at the next level just based off numbers we know. And you're going to do it. I mean, and people said, you're not being loyal. Shame on you. And a lot of people are standing up for Tennessee saying, listen, that's great that they got this ball rolling. I mean, they're the ones that actually sue the NCAA, or part of their institution sue the NCAA in the first place. So, I mean, they kind of got bitten.
You're right. But I give them a lot of credit for saying enough is enough.
Yeah. Anything else we need to know about this meeting that U.S. Judge Judy Claudia Wilkins came out? I just read a couple things, and I was hoping you could clarify about thousands of current walk-on students maybe having their spots taken.
Yeah, I don't know why this was part of the settlement, but part of the settlement is new roster limitations in every sport. And in some sports, nothing changed, but they reset new roster limits. So in football, and that's what you're reading about mostly, but in football, most teams hover between 120 and 130 football players. Now, so it's 85 on scholarship, and the difference were walk-ons. Now the roster limit is set at 105. You cannot have, regardless of whether you're paying them or not, you cannot have more than 105 players. Okay. Well, I'm not sure why these two things are tied together really, but they are. And so you can't say, hey, we're going to opt into the settlement as a school and we're going to pay players, but we're not going to do the roster limit. It's both. You can't do one or the other.
Yeah. Paul in Birmingham wants to know, why do we even have scholarships anymore? This is the UAB Director's Chair, by the way. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Why do we?
Well, what would happen is if we approached you now about playing football for us, we'd say, all right, Tony, we're going to pay for you to go to school, and we're going to pay your books and your fees that go along with your tuition. And then so that's contract number one. And contract number two is, and we're going to have a revenue sharing agreement with you that is X amount per year or X amount per month, whatever the student and the coach prefer in terms of their vernacular and the language they want to. And that money, Tony, would be for how you eat and how you live on. And so it's a little different in that it used to be that it all came through the scholarship paperwork. I think that the challenge that these kids are going to face, that, again, the people that push so hard for it, that money becomes taxable. If it's not, it becomes taxable now, and it used to not be because it's part of their scholarship money. Well, now it's part of their revenue share, which means it's taxable. So some of that income used to not be, or it used to be tax free. Now it's not.
Are you seeing more parents get involved? I mean, we used to have that overzealous father. We've heard those stories over and over and over again. Are you starting to see that more? It's an amazing
transformation how much parents are involved today than they were 20 years ago. I field a ton of phone calls from parents that are, as do other members of the department, parents that are mad that their child isn't playing. And they'll say other things, but ultimately that's what it is.
Yeah.
They're mad that their child isn't playing, and they want to talk about just all sorts of things about the program, and they really just want to be heard more than anything. It's like any person that complains, they just want to be heard. But the parents are really involved now with this conversation on payment, and they're just getting like a script from somebody else that says, hey, when you're talking to them, you tell them your conversation starts at X $1,000. Don't even get into it. If they're not willing to pay you at least this, then you're not even talking to. Like, the parents weren't that way until somebody told them to be that way. And the student athletes, the kids, definitely were not that way until their parents or their uncle or their cousin or their somebody else, new handler, got involved and said, this is the way you need to talk.
And what are you seeing from an agent standpoint? Are there like 100,000 agents out there right now? I just assume that like everyone's brother's an agent now. They're getting agent work and going.
They're unqualified. They're dirty. They're taking 20% from these kids. And in some cases saying, hey, I'm going to take 20%, but I'm also going to require that when you go pro, I'm your representation. And so they're, the pro agents get about 4%. and these kids are being charged 20%.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. He is the UAB athletic director, and we greatly appreciate, very grateful to have his undivided attention every single week. Mark Ingram down there on the Southside campus. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. If you've got any questions, emails, we'd love to read them. I don't know if you just heard this, just broke a couple hours ago. Lee Corso is still alive. Good. He's going to turn 90 on August 7th, but he has just announced this is his last College Game Day year to be on television, something that he was actually part of back in 1987. It seems like everyone I've ever spoken to in college sports has some type of Lee Corso story. And I was wondering, because you were part of Tennessee or anything else, if you know anything about Lee, or whether you met him, or can you tell me a little about him?
Yeah, it's funny. My senior year, we had a postseason banquet, and the College Game Day crew was like the hired entertainment.
Oh, nice.
Came and did like a mini game day and talked about every senior, talked about the season game by game.
That's cool.
And then they talked about every senior, which was cool. And they had Todd Blackledge came out into the crowd. And when they would talk about each senior, then Todd was there to ask that senior questions.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, it was really great. And, Lee Corso was there. It was a great event and a lot of fun and probably crazy expensive, but it was really cool.
Yeah. And really, I'm so happy that Lee is going out the way he wants to go out. He is going to be 90 years old. He's obviously the headwear stands on its own and it's great.
Yeah.
He'll sorely be missed, but it is time to move on. So it's super, super cool there. So anything else going on in UAB sports you want us to know about before I get into some rock and roll history with you?
Well, I want everybody to come out to the spring showcase and meet our team. The football team seems like they're new every year. I mean, and that's the way a lot of our teams are now. So come out and meet these new kids. Welcome them to Birmingham. Our season tickets are on sale and doing very well, by the way. Season ticket sales numbers are up from where they were a year ago, which I think a lot of people would be surprised by. I know we didn't have the season we wanted to have, but we made some really solid changes on the defensive side of the ball and that I think are meaningful and will really matter when it comes time to play games this fall. So don't give up on the Blazers, man. Come support these.
No, and everyone I talk to too is like they're more excited. It seems like this year than they were even for Trent's first year, because I think everyone knows there's something there. He was successful at his first level in high school ball. He just knows too much about football to not be successful. And I've got a chance to get to know him quite a bit when we were doing our other show, The Inferno. And he's just a guy you root for. He's a good guy. And, if the ball falls just the right way, they're competitive in everything they do. So hopefully it'll be just a bang up third year and we can have a bowl season under our belts and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be good.
So we've got that happening, and we got some baseball and softball coming up. So hope everybody come out and support those young people as well.
Are you a big Beatles fan?
I don't know if I'd say a big Beatles fan. I like the Beatles.
There was a lot that happened on this date in history, and I'll start in 1970. According to their website, this was the official day, April 17th, 1970. The Beatles officially broke up. About a week earlier, Paul had actually come out and said something along the lines of, "Hey, I'm no longer with the band, or we're no longer together," and people didn't really understand what that meant. And then, of course, they made the official announcement a little bit later on in May. But on this particular day, it is documented as this is the official day that they broke up. Funny enough, on the same day in 1971, 1 year later, every Beatle had a hit in the top 10 at the same time.
Wow.
Which is, and that's the thing is because you name all the members of the Rolling Stones, you name every member of Nirvana, you name every member of Metallica, Judas Priest, whatever. You usually have the lead singer, goes off and does his thing. The lead guitarist may have some limited work, but you don't see every band member have an incredibly successful Hall of Fame worthy type of career outside that band, which is just amazing. And then, sadly enough, in 1998 on this day, Linda McCartney passed away. So, a lot of stuff happening with the Beatles on this day, April 17th in rock and roll history.
How about that? Well, so what are those songs, do you know?
As a matter of fact, I do. If you will give me 1 second here.
Imagine, the song by John Lennon.
And I knew that Power to the People was one of was Paul McCartney. My Sweet Lord from George Harrison. Another Day from Paul McCartney. Ringo Starr's It Don't Come Easy, and John Lennon's Power to the People all made the top 10.
Yeah, wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Group of people.
Yeah. So we've got this big amphitheater. How close is that amphitheater down to you guys down there? Is it right on?
Right next to Protective Stadium.
Yeah. You can walk right there after a show, right?
Oh yeah.
There seems to be a couple of good shows that are popping up there. You're a big outdoor kind of guy. You looking forward to having that in your backyard?
You know what? I am. And I bought tickets to the Dave Matthews concert, not because I'm some big Dave Matthews fan per se. I like him just fine, but I just wanted to go down there. I want to see it. I want to be a part of it. And so, yeah, that's in June. I got tickets for my wife and me and another couple to go. And I'm looking forward to it because it seems really cool. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. I know Rod Stewart's coming. And I was mistakenly saying he mentioned a couple of years ago that he is no longer going to play any of his Rod Stewart hits. He is. He's having one last hoorah where he's playing all of his music. He's not doing the storybook thing, which is great. But James Taylor's coming back. We just saw him at the amphitheater at Oak Mountain last year. And I went for sure because he's 75. I thought that was it. And he just extended his tour. So he's coming back to Birmingham, which is fantastic. So, yeah.
Rod Stewart.
What's that?
Have you ever seen Rod Stewart?
I have seen Rod Stewart, yes. It was 20 years ago. It was good.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, he's just one of those cats that he's got so many great songs that you're going to be disappointed because you're not going to possibly hear every one of them. And it just kind of depends on what kind of mood he's in, because a lot of people are going to want to hear Faces and want to hear, Hot Legs and want to hear him rock.
Right.
There's a lot of people that want to hear that Love Touch and Young Turks kind of part of his life. And then, of course, you had the disco part of his life. And then, of course, you had the storybook. I mean, it's just amazing that he has done that. So, but yeah, it's going to be fun down there. All right, my man. Appreciate your time. Thank you for all you do. Let's grab some lunch here soon. I'll get you on our television show on ABC 3340 here real soon. But thanks for all you do, and go to UABsports.com, UABsports.com for everything that is UAB. Thank you, my man.
Thanks, Tony. See you, pal.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.